What if we told you that your donations to the Vatican were being used for more than just charitable causes? The money you donated as a devout Catholic may have been funneled into secret investments, luxurious properties, and even corrupt dealings. This is the hidden truth behind the Vatican's financial empire. You will be shocked to know that the Vatican has faced numerous controversies and scandals over the years, exposing the dark side of its financial power. So, let's reveal the hidden secrets that you won't find in your typical history books. The Catholic Church has always been a powerful and influential institution, but everyone was shocked when they heard that the Vatican owns over 5,000 churches and massive investment properties around the world. That's a matter of care for every Catholic, as the Church has always asked for donations and contributions to support their work. So, they need to know where their money is actually going. Besides donations, the Vatican had another secret strategy that helped it grow financially: selling indulgences. This 6th century concept was a practice where the faithful could purchase a piece of paper, essentially a receipt, promising them that God would overlook any earthly punishment for their sins. It was a way for the Church to raise massive funds while appealing to people's desire for forgiveness. This seemingly simple transaction opened the doors to a vast source of income and contributed to the Vatican's impressive financial empire. But they didn't know that this strategy would eventually go out of control. The late 18th century was like hell for Europe, and seeing Europe in chaos, a man named Napoleon Bonaparte emerged to take the benefits. Rising to power after the Revolution, Napoleon recognized the strategic advantage of controlling the papacy in the continent. By 1798, his ambitions led to the invasion of Rome, where the French forces declared the Roman Republic, effectively snuffing out the centuries-old papal rule over the city. With the death of Pope Pius VI on August 29, 1799, and the fall of the Vatican, the Roman Catholic Church was on the edge of collapse. The problems following the Napoleonic Wars and the restoration of the Papal States in the 1830s did little to alleviate the Vatican's financial struggles. Surprisingly, the Church sought assistance from the influential Rothschild banking dynasty, known for its prominence in international finance. As Gregory XVI ascended to the papacy in 1831, he understood that without immediate financial support, the Church could not endure. For the first time in its history, the Vatican turned to James de Rothschild, the head of the family's Paris branch, who became the Church's banker. Another chapter in the Vatican's financial saga unfolded as it turned to Peter's pence, a tradition rooted in England dating back to the 8th century. This annual tax, known as Romascot, was collected by Anglo-Saxon kings to support the Pope. However, as the Church's needs grew, it sought more sources of income. Soon, the Vatican began selling bonds to the faithful, allowing individuals to loan money with the promise of repayment. Because of the evolving capital markets, the Vatican Bank diversified its assets, making strategic investments in real estate throughout Rome and heavily in the stocks of the Bank of Rome. This proved profitable, as the Church got massive returns. In 1914, World War I stopped people from donating to the Church, which again caused a significant financial strain. Recognizing the importance of the Vatican as an ally, Germany funneled money through Swiss banks, disguised as Peter's pence, to help stabilize the Church's finances. The German Foreign Ministry also contributed cash from a propaganda slush fund, while Austria offered covert support to Pope Benedict. This situation illuminated the Vatican as a perfect participant in covert financial operations. To manage its growing financial empire, the Vatican hired Bernardino Nogara, a Catholic and an accomplished engineer, and things returned to the right side. Then, in 1929, Italy and the Vatican struck the Lateran Pact, establishing Vatican City as an independent state governed by the Pope. This agreement saw the Italian government pay the Holy See 750 million lire in cash and 1 billion lire in bonds. Recognizing the need for quick financial management, Pope Pius V appointed Bernardino Nogara. Soon after taking charge, Nogara faced his greatest challenge as the Great Depression hit Europe. causing the Vatican's assets to plummet by 30%. With the weight of the institution's financial stability resting on his shoulders, Nogara had to take decisive actions, including declaring 1933 a holy year to stimulate donations and strategically investing in gold to safeguard against further decline. This made him one of the most influential figures in the Vatican's financial history. Nogara realizes that the Vatican needs its own bank to ensure financial operations can be conducted in secrecy and without transparency. On June 27, 1942, the Vatican established the Istituto per le Opere di Religione, or the Vatican Bank, which was exempt from disclosing its financial activities, paying taxes, or showing profits. By 1945, as Nazi officials began to sense defeat, they sought out the Vatican Bank to facilitate the movement of approximately $598 million in stolen gold, with around 200 million Swiss francs funneled through the bank and possibly sent to South America. After the war, the Church profited significantly from selling land to Italy in preparation for the Summer Olympics in 1956. As the Vatican Bank expanded its financial reach, it hired Michel Sindona, a financial hustler who could streamline operations and maximize profits. In 1959, when the future Pope John XXIII needed to raise funds for a retirement home, he turned to Sindona, who managed to gather $2 million in just one day. During this period, Cardinal Paul Marcinkus was promoted to president of the Vatican Bank, further improving its global financial operations. Then, a new person named Roberto Calvi entered. He belonged to a banking family, and his father was a banker too. In 1960, while working at Banco Ambrosiano, Calvi experienced a significant breakthrough when he was introduced to Paul Marcinkus by Michel Sindona. Marcinkus faced criticism for his lack of financial expertise and believed he needed to undertake bold initiatives to compensate for this. Calvi appeared to be the perfect partner to help him achieve these ambitions. Unlike Bernardino Nogara, Marcinkus struggled with the complexities of international finance, leading some to feel that his financial naivety made him susceptible to manipulation by Calvi and Sindona. The Vatican, eager to expand its financial reach, turned to Roberto Calvi and Michel Sindona for bolder ventures in a regulated Italian banking environment. To bypass these restrictions, they established Cisalpine Overseas Bank in the Bahamas, a hub for riskier, more lucrative financial activities with minimal oversight. In a few years, Calvi and Sindona increased their wealth by a lot. However, Sindona's risky foreign exchange trades led to huge losses at the Franklin National Bank, which he had recently acquired. As panic spread and funds drained from the bank, Sindona attempted to merge institutions to conceal these failures, banking on a government bailout to safeguard his investments. Unfortunately for him, Franklin National was declared insolvent in a historic collapse, which ultimately led to Sindona's arrest and downfall in the early 1970s. This left a massive opportunity for Calvi to come up and take over Sindona's assets and his connections. But guess what? Despite being in jail, Sindona was putting pressure on Calvi to help him with funds. As a result, Calvi sent him $500,000, which is a big amount, but Sindona wasn't satisfied with it at all. As Sindona continued to ask for more money, Calvi realized he was in a tough spot. When Calvi said no to Sindona's demands, Sindona struck back by telling reporters about Calvi's secret bank accounts in Switzerland. This led to intense public attention and legal troubles for Calvi. Over the next 3 years, he faced many difficulties as the pressure from these issues grew, causing his once successful business empire to slowly fall apart. By 1982, Roberto Calvi recognized that his money-making plans were not working anymore. With the authorities closing in, an Italian smuggler helped him escape away through the night to Austria. For days, he struggled between cities, living in the shadows, until he finally managed to catch a private flight to London. Sounds like a successful escape, right? That's what Calvi thought. However, he had no idea that his troubles were far from over. Just a few days later, news broke that Roberto Calvi, engaged in a massive $790 million bank fraud scandal, was found hanging from the Blackfriars Bridge over the Thames River. With Calvi's shocking death, the Vatican faced mounting pressure to address the fallout from its involvement with him. Publicly, the Church admitted that working with Calvi was a big mistake, but it insisted that it had no link to his death. To help lessen the scandal, the Vatican agreed to pay a large settlement of $244 million related to Banco Ambrosiano. Despite this effort, the Church faced serious problems as Catholics around the world reduced their donations. This decline in support resulted in a budget shortfall for the Church during the years 1984 to 1985. Meanwhile, Sindona, still dealing with the consequences of his past choices, resisted being sent back to Italy. He knew that returning could be dangerous and possibly deadly for him. Eventually, on March 30, 1985, Italian officials managed to bring him back. Unfortunately for Sindona, his worst fears came true when he died from cyanide poisoning in a hospital in Voghera. This tragic end left behind a complicated legacy tied to the corruption in Italy's finances and politics. In the 1990s, the Vatican Bank found itself grappling with widespread corruption allegations and financial mismanagement. Following the retirement of Cardinal Paul Marcinkus, the Church hired Angelo Caloia, a respected banker committed to ethical finance. However, Caloia faced internal resistance while attempting to implement necessary reforms, as the bank continued to be challenged by secret accounts and high-profile legal issues. While the Church was focused on restructuring its finances, a much larger crisis erupted in 2002 when the Boston Globe's Spotlight team exposed a pattern of sexual abuse by priests and the Church's efforts to cover it up. This scandal shook the faith of Catholics worldwide, leading to financial problems, with many dioceses declaring bankruptcy or liquidating assets to cover legal costs. As Pope John Paul II passed in 2005, Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger ascended to the papacy as Benedict XVI during troubled times. He aimed for greater transparency within the Vatican Bank and took steps to address the clergy sexual abuse crisis. Yet, due to ongoing scandals, the Vatican suffered significant embarrassment in 2012 when Pope Benedict's butler leaked confidential documents revealing internal corruption and conflicts. The Vatican's reputation took another hit as the U.S. listed it as a concern for money laundering. The entire world was shocked when Pope Benedict announced his resignation, prompting the election of Jorge Mario Bergoglio, who became Pope Francis. In 2024, with Pope Francis leading the way, the Vatican Bank is making significant improvements in being open about its finances by regularly sharing its yearly financial reports. This honest approach helps to build trust with the public and other influential groups. At the same time, while Europe and America have fewer priests, Africa and Asia are seeing a rise in their number. This change shows a shift in where the Church is growing, highlighting new centers of faith and influence in these parts of the world. So, this was the hidden story of the Vatican's financial empire, filled with corruption, scandal, and downfall. Although it may seem like a distant past, the effects of these events are still felt in the present day. Let us know in the comments what you think about this hidden side of the Vatican and its impact on the Catholic Church. Goodbye.